More voices don't always lead to better decisions. Here is the truth. Leaders are mostly paid because we want them to make effective decisions. Opportunities don't really last forever. It creates confusion and it causes you to lose ownership of your decisions. None of them are in the same line of business that you are trying to seek to enter. Marhaba and how's it going everyone, and welcome back to Yuwab, where I share with you what I learned in life and the skills that you need to get you going in this abnormal world and shine so you can live with intention. I'm your host, Saeed Alghafri, and I am truly grateful that you are spending this time with me because I want to see you grow, and that's why I do this podcast. Before we dive deep into today's episode, you know what to do, right? Please share this episode and subscribe to my channels. And a new ask, if you're listening to my podcast on Apple Podcast, rate my show. This really helps me a lot. Today, we are going to tackle, I would call it a leadership trap that trips even the smartest, most intelligent leaders that I've even known, even myself. And that is listening to too many opinions without developing their own judgment to make a decision. That's a very long title. But ultimately, leaders are supposed to make decisions. They're supposed to listen to opinions, make a judgment, and then make a decision. I'm sure you've experienced that, where you had endless advices, conflicting perspectives, people fighting over basically their opinions, who's going to win and all that, and a constant buzz of opinions around every decision you've made, even at home, by the way. And yet, think about it. More voices don't always lead to better decisions. You are definitely going to agree to me on that. In fact, they can sometimes paralyze an action and dilute clarity, leading to no decision taken whatsoever. And you don't want that. Leaders are supposed to make decisions, effective ones. Here is the truth. Leaders are mostly paid because we want them to make effective decisions based on a collective opinions and then judging. And the most important thing here is judging within a specific time. You don't have sometimes the whole time for you to decide, or it could be long, it could be short. You know why that's important? Because opportunities don't really last forever, especially right now. And when you have a crisis, it requires an immediate actions. But think about it this way. Most people, even when the decision is very small, they have this endless debate about what to do about it, or the opinions. You go from one meeting to the other meeting, and then you say, let's basically park it for the day. And then you come tomorrow, and then you talk about the whole thing. And then you hire different consultants to validate it. You know what happens over time? Momentum just slows. That's really not good. And teams get really confused. You know, you have too many inputs coming in. What happens is it just clouds your vision, and it creates confusion, and it causes you to lose ownership of your decisions. You know, don't get me wrong. People now would say, Saeed, we should not really involve everyone. I haven't said that. And we should not really include all the stakeholders. I mean, think about it. Yes and no, and it depends. And that's why it's important for the leaders to use their judgment. This is the most important thing. And the core is when to make that decision and how to make that decisions. You know, it's all about navigating through the noise and the opinions and listening very effectively. This is very important. Listening very effectively. And that's what you need to sharpen your judgment. Again, the idea here is not to quickly make a decision or slowly make a decision. And it's not who to involve and who not to involve. It's about using your judgment from what we discussed. Let's take a few examples. Let's say that a company is doing, let's say, a culture change program for a new business model. All right? And it's a very important cross point for a company that where you need to involve your board, your peers, and the stakeholder. In this specific situation, depends on what is really happening and depends on the scope and how big the company is. Probably you have to gather opinions and maybe involve a lot of people because speed may not be needed at this place and you need to basically do it with care. You see what I'm saying? This is where leaders need to use their judgment. Take this another example. There's a very important sales deal, all right, that needs to be submitted within the next 3 hours. And you are basically now gathering a lot of opinions and consulting the whole world. And you basically need to speak to your boss and speak to this and speak to that. You think you're going to make a judgment? You're not going to make a judgment. And time will be basically wasted. And you're going to miss that deadline and you're not going to make a decision. That's not going to happen. You see how it goes. You see how it goes. Now, if you're thinking about another person who's really basically thinking about what to do, the time frame, etc., and how they make the judgment, they will basically win that deal. You see how it goes. Think about it this way, and also other examples. When you start buying a car, when you want to choose a doctor, when you want to basically, I don't know, and I'm very bad at it, when you basically want to trade in stock markets, you take a lot of opinions when it comes to that. And what happens in stock market is if you basically wait for another 5 minutes, it may go up, it may go down. So you have to be very quick to make a decision. Let me share with you a few real stories that I have encountered. This is a guy that I coached one time. And honestly, I did not really know him at first. All I saw was excitement, energy, and a lot of things. He came to me and he's like, Saeed, I'd like to basically work with you to increase my sales revenue. I'm like, okay, awesome, man. So we prepared a roadmap with him. And one critical milestone for the roadmap was to rent a place for a showroom. Everything is beautiful, everything is fine. And then he was so lucky to find this beautiful, perfect place. Honestly, according to his description, it was so perfect. And again, it fits the budget, close to clients. And honestly, it was very much true to be good for that specific really milestone. He was given a day to make a decision and sign. And before the day, he made, I don't know, like probably too many iterations to go ahead with that decision. And ultimately, it was a go decision. He consulted a lot of people. A week passed and I checked on him. I'm like, hey man, what's up with the new location? And when are you going to do the fit out? And he was like, oh, Saeed, it's gone. I wasn't able to do it. And I wondered what really happened. And I spoke to him like, what happened, man? He actually had to seek more opinions. He spoke to his uncle, he spoke to his father, he spoke to his friends. And you know the ironic part? He already spoke to them. So if I was his father, I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? Why is he asking me again? I would think, okay, probably I need to change my mind. Why is he asking me again? Eventually, he didn't make a decision. And that's the story. And then we basically tried to do something regarding his project, and he was fine. He found another place, and it went very well with him. The second story, another guy I coached. And this guy was trying to make an investment, I remember, for a very strategic project. He basically runs a business. His current business line the revenue started to decline, and he thought about creating another business line. He made all the feasibility study, everything was perfect, and honestly, his assumptions were 99% accurate. 99%. What else do you want, man? So honestly, it was a go project. Now he had to invest money in this one. So he received all the quotes to basically buy all the equipment. The return is good. And guess what happened after that? Honestly, it was really unexpected. He started to ask people for their opinions. And let me tell you what happens here. These guys are not really living the current situation that you are in. And none of them are in the same line of business that you are trying to seek to enter. So everyone came with different ideas. And what do you expect? What do you expect? Fine, take the opinion, but honestly, the guy took the opinions very seriously. And when we spoke about it, 70%, even I think more, of the ideas that came were complete BS. And what happens after that? He started to change the project assumptions. And when you do that, things change. The investment jumped by 30% because he thought, okay, let me do it. I'm going to increase the investment and then the return will be good. Guess what? The return was even the same. So with a higher investment, the return was the same. And he wasn't very happy about this. Then he basically said, you know what? I'm not going to basically increase the investment. Let me go back to the initial assumptions. What happens is because of that delay, the prices of the investment went up by 5%. All right. And then what happened is that he went for another opinion because it went by 5%. He wasn't really able to make a decision because they gave him a day. Then because he was late, the price increased by 10%. These people knew that he needed that investment. And they basically linked it to currency inflations, etc. And honestly, now the project, after it was given a good return, it's not anymore giving the return he wanted. It's not giving any more the return he wanted. He had to change the scope. He did so many things. And even after that, delays happened and he wasn't able to basically get the return. And it was a lost project and he never started. Okay, I mean, look at basically how this situation is. When you change your mind, you seek more opinions and all that. And it's a 99% accurate assumption. Just go for it. Just go for it. The lesson here is, it's not always about having more opinions. It's about making that judgment and then making a decision. So here are like 4 ways to help you develop a better judgment as a leader when it comes to make a very important decision or any decision. The first one is filter your opinions strategically. What I mean by that? Opinions are very much a great way to assist you to make a decision. Very important. But not every opinion matters. What you need to do, especially when you're running a team, is be clear with people. This is not a time where you are basically casting votes. It's a time where we're making a very important decision. And then when the opinions started to come, listen carefully, take notes, and learn to distinguish between what is an added value and what is really noise. And don't be intimidated by making a decision on that meeting. Maybe take a step back, and then you could say, all right, that's basically the thing that we need to do. And this is my judgment on the thing when it comes to this specific subject. All right? The second thing is very important. Decide who should be involved. Not all people are equal when it comes to making a judgment and then making a decision. Think about it. Who is very much close to that specific subject? Maybe inside, maybe outside the company. Who can provoke the idea? Sometimes you need people who can provoke the idea. It helps because they can raise some flags when it comes to that specific project. And who has experienced something similar? Let me tell you what happens usually nowadays. We usually listen to the loudest person in the room. Unfortunately, this is what happens. If I'm the loudest, even if I talk nonsense, people will hear me out. And my opinion will be generalized. Or maybe sometimes, and I'm not really trying to say not to do that, we listen to the most senior people in the position. That's what usually happens. So try to basically decide who should be involved and to help you have a better judgment and make a decision. That's the second one. The third one is, as a leader, clarify the ask. Very important. Why is that important? Because when you have people and you're quiet and you're not really clarifying the ask, this will not help them to structure the discussion. You should be asking better. That will guide people, and then it will make them give you better opinions. What you should ask is, you should be like, what are we trying to solve here today? Another thing could be, what needs to be done to make this very much happening? And what could be the risks involved? You have that. And then you may convert that into a cost-benefit analysis. That will help a lot. And then once you do all that, ask, how does success look like? You see how you structure that discussion? Very important. The fourth one is, and it's the most important one, is don't delay the decision. Make the call. Make the call and own it. Because you have all the information to make a better judgment and make a better decision. You may also need to seek alignment with the board or your boss to comfort you to make that decision. Some people do that because it's very important in companies when it comes to that. And don't just end it here. Some people make a decision and then go sleep. Don't do that. Come back to it. Next day, the day after. Create basically milestones where you see what went right and what went wrong. And as you go through that, adjust as needed, because we all make mistakes. Honestly, we all make mistakes. It's important, as leaders, what I see is most leaders is they make a decision and they don't admit that they made a mistake. For me, it's very much courageous to admit, review, adjust, and then move forward. And then you're going to make a better judgment and make a better decision. Now, think about your own leadership journey. Are you really drowning in opinions, or are you using them to sharpen your own judgment? And just remember this, leaders are not really defined by how many voices or people they hear. They are defined by the quality of the decision that they make and they're remembered for. So here is what I want you to walk away with the next time you make a decision. Don't ask, what does everyone think? Ask, what does my judgment tell me in this moment? You may be thinking about the fact that having more opinions is better, but on the contrary, for me and for every people that I know, fewer quality opinions with better judgment is how leaders move fast, inspire confidence, and really drive results. All right? My ask, if this episode make you reflect, and if you know anyone or someone who needs this reminder, share this episode with them. It may change their life. And don't forget to rate my show in Apple Podcast. Thank you so much for spending the time with me here on Yuwab. مع السلامة.